all of these little whispers can start to have a super negative impact on your psyche and your ability to make the most of the next opportunity. So, the more you're convicted and believe in yourself or the thing that you're selling, the more you're going to be able to handle rejection when it's not for that person. Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of Enter the Nebula. My name is Mike Ergo, and this week we're going to talk about rejection. Each week I try to look at work I'm doing or people I'm working with or different observations, whether it's in social media or anywhere else, and find topics that I think will resonate with people. And lately I've been mentoring a group of newer coaches at the collegiate level and talking with them about how to recruit. And one of their biggest challenges that they're looking to overcome is rejection. And I thought, man, how appropriate, because so many people are working through rejection right now in the workforce. There's so many people looking for jobs and not as many jobs available. Therefore, there's more competition. There's more people that are qualified for these jobs, and therefore, more people getting rejected. How do we deal with it? How do we overcome rejection? So I started to think to myself, as a young coach, how did I overcome it? How did I deal with and learn to deal with rejection? And recruiting is really just sales. So I know a lot of my sales friends or salespeople that follow me or read the blog or view these videos are smiling to themselves right now, because I think that's one of the number one things you have to learn in sales is how to deal with rejection. And as you're going through sales, whether you're selling a college program or a product or a service, you have to be convicted. There's not many sales people that are good at their jobs that don't believe in what they're pitching. People can sniff out the bullshit, right? And by being convicted, we're able to show that whether we're trying to advocate for ourselves in an interview or trying to talk to a prospective athlete to join our program, that we believe in what we're talking about. It's my belief that conviction is really how much you believe in that thing. And to handle rejection, the more convicted you are, the more you know that if somebody's not buying what you're selling, it is less to do with you and more to do with them or the situation not being the right fit. And therefore, you can start to do away with some of those negative narratives or internal conversations that can start to creep in. Things like you're not good enough, or maybe you messed up, or did I say the wrong thing, or maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. All of these little whispers can start to have a super negative impact on your psyche and your ability to make the most of the next opportunity. So, the more you're convicted and believe in yourself or the thing that you're selling, the more you're going to be able to handle rejection when it's not for that person. An example I love to give, and it's an athletic example, is when you're recruiting, you're talking to a lot of different athletes who are looking for a lot of different things. Athletes that wanted to major in different things, athletes that are looking for big schools, athletes that are looking for small schools. And if you're recruiting for a small school, if you are so convicted that you convince an athlete who's looking for a big school to come to your school, you're eventually going to find that that athlete is either miserable or they just transfer out. And then you're right back to square one. So you have to understand that while you're convicted, what you're selling is not always for everyone. And the same goes for a job search. You may think that on paper you're perfect for the role, but maybe your personality style or work style doesn't jive with the hiring manager. Maybe the culture that you say you're looking for isn't the culture of the company that you're applying for. And that's okay. But you have to remain convicted in what you bring to the table because you don't want to find yourself missing other opportunities because you're so focused on the one that you believe to be right. Which leads me to the second thing in helping to deal with rejection, which is not allowing outside influences to sway you negatively, but relying on outside influences to keep you grounded. And I think that's a very delicate balance. Using resumes as an example is perfect for me because you can't create a resume on your own and expect it to be perfect. You want to work with other professionals, other peers, different hiring managers to get some perspective to make sure that the way you believe you're portraying yourself is coming through effectively in your resume. But you also don't want to ask too many people for advice, or else you're going to spend every waking hour making unlimited tweaks to your resume that really aren't providing that much value. Or you're just going to be constantly second guessing whether it's the perfect resume or not, or whether you have the perfect pitch. So you don't want to get into that world either, where you've got so much feedback from so many different outside influences that you've lost all sense of self. And that's where the conviction remains the number one thing. But you want to make sure that you don't get stuck inside your head. You want to verify that the things you are convicted on are actually going to resonate with people. And that's where outside influence is so important. Finally, it's important to set and remember expectations as far as what kind of rejection you can expect. When I look back at my coaching career, I had created an algorithm that I knew if I talked to a certain amount of people and was able to convert those initial conversations to a certain amount of applications and those applications to a certain amount of visits, I was going to recruit the number that I was looking for. And that gave me confidence. It gave me confidence in knowing that if I put in the work, the results were going to come. The same thing can be said for sales and for applying for jobs. We have to know as we're applying for jobs that it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some time. And how much time? We don't know, but we know, at least in this case, that it's going to be significant. It's going to be a significant number. Just observing what other people have gone through. So you want to make sure in your head that you set those expectations up appropriately, or else the rejection is going to hurt even more. For instance, from an athletic perspective, if I need 10 athletes and I talk to 10 athletes and one comes, well, I not only didn't hit my number, but I'm extremely frustrated because I probably put all of my time and effort into just 10 athletes throughout the year. Whereas if I talk to 1,000 athletes and I get 100 to apply and 10 end up coming, well, I've hit my number and I've vetted through so many different people to know that I've got the right people. The same goes for looking for jobs. We want to make sure that you're applying for and looking for the right jobs, but you're also not putting all your eggs in one basket or applying to, I've seen posts of, well, I've applied to 1,000 jobs. Are you qualified for all 1,000 jobs? Would you love working for all 1,000 jobs that you applied for? Because if the roles were reversed and I put my hiring manager hat on, I can imagine getting an application for a project manager as someone who used to work in cybersecurity. Well, I'm looking for a project manager. And unless you're really explaining to me why you want to move from cyber to security to project management, I'm immediately moving to someone else who has a project management background. And I think that that's important for people to understand. Don't waste your time doing things that are ultimately going to pile on from a rejection perspective, because it can only contribute to those negative thoughts and those things that can be debilitating at times. So try to set and remember the expectations that you have, and then you'll be prepared for the rejection when it happens. It never surprised me when I was in the full swing of things recruiting when an athlete would tell me that they weren't interested. All I wanted to do was seek to understand why. That way, if there was an opportunity for me to get better, I would know. But if the athlete was looking to be an engineer and the school that I was coaching at didn't have engineering as a program, I'm not going to take that personally. If the athlete's looking for a large school and the school I'm coaching at is a small school, I'm not going to take that personally. If I'm applying for a job that's looking for 15 years of experience in a certain field and I have 10 and I don't get it, I can't take that personally. Doesn't mean I won't shoot my shot from time to time, but you need to make sure that you set and remember expectations. So as we're working through rejection and we're continuing to be convicted in what we believe we bring to the table, we have to remain open to outside influence and outside feedback, and also set and remember expectations. If we do those things and we keep open lines of communication with our support network to talk through any negative emotions or feelings that we have, I think we're going to find that we can get through rejection. And I think you will find that the more you talk about these things, both internally to yourself and to the support network that you have, the more you're going to find that the focus will be less on the rejection, but more on what you can learn from it in order to make the most of the next opportunity that presents itself. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Again, my name's Mike Ergo. You can read the full article on my website, intellectualnebula.com. Please make sure to follow on all of the social outlets, specifically on YouTube. Like, share, and let me know what you thought of this week's episode in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on how you're dealing with and working through any rejection in your professional or personal life. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.